Hey y'all, Miss Macy here. This week we will wrap up our comedy unit. We're going to take a closer look at puns, parody, and allusion. These are concepts and ideas that you may very well work into your choice board projects, so we want to make sure you have a good understanding of them as you pull those projects together so that we can see your amazing creativity. We're specifically looking at the Reading Informational 4 standard, which looks at determining the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in a text and analyzing the impact of word choices, including analogies and allusions to other texts. So, without further ado, moving on. Oh, and for Google's edification, this video is for educational purposes only. First up, we're going to do a quick review of some key concepts that we will cover in the next few slides, just to make sure we're all on the same page with our terminology. So we use the right diction. Looking first at parody, that's that imitation of the style of a particular writer, genre, or artist that includes deliberate exaggeration of the style or content, often for comedic effect. So we looked at several videos over the last few weeks that were in fact parodies. One was Weird Al Yankovic's Eat It video, which is a parody of Michael Jackson's Beat It video, and the look and feel of that video is very much so in line with Michael Jackson's original video, but it's a parody. It's just making fun of that style. It's using absurd lyrics just for humorous effect, but it has the same feel, which is how you know the two are related. Second, we have allusion. Allusion is a literary device used to reference an outside work within a work of literature, or a movie, or whatever the case may be. So those allusions may include references to religious text, to other works of literature, to lyrics, to real or fictional people or events. They're used all the time in everything. You'll see allusions to Greek mythology. You'll see allusions to Bible verses. You'll see allusions to random quotes from other authors, like Shakespeare quotes will end up in, a novel. As people talk to each other, they'll just randomly say something. So you'll hear those allusions interplay throughout the different works. So we're going to be looking for those types of things. And also puns. Puns are those simple jokes that play off the sound rather than the meaning of words. Basically, this is every dad joke everywhere. They love to make these jokes. Drives me crazy, but they think they're hilarious. So an example would be that whole let us go to the salad bar idea, where you're playing with lettuce. So instead of let us, it's lettuce. So it sounds the same, and then you have the lettuce being part of the salad. So you've got this wordplay happening where you're playing off the sound and the content of things going together to make it humorous. So with puns, we're looking at that concept of playing with words. And again, we're playing with the sound of those words. So sometimes a pun could be a visual pun. And on the left side of the screen, you'll see this illustration of Shel Silverstein, the poet, which was posted on the Rumpus. And they are playing off the sound of his first name to create this visual pun. Sometimes playing off of the words and playing off the sound of those words, you're playing off words that are the same word that have two different pronunciations. So we'll look at this poem, Anteater. A genuine anteater, the pet man told my dad. Turned out it was an anteater, and now my uncle's mad. So we're playing off of this sound of an ant versus an aunt. Same word. I have an Aunt Nina. Other people would call her Aunt Nina. So my pronunciation would potentially protect her from any anteater, but if it were an anteater, she'd be in trouble. It's one of those, it's just a goofy little poem that is playing off of this difference in how we pronounce the same word and bringing in the anteater to highlight that effect. And with puns in general, because they are playing on the sound of the words, if you are struggling to identify them in written work, reading a passage aloud will help you hear it so that you can see if maybe when you say the word aloud, you are actually hearing yourself say a word that could, or a phrase that could sound like something else. So up next, we're going to look at this concept of parody and allusion, and we're going to see how that same thing can play out in different ways. So we'll take the original text, which is on the left, and it's a common Christian child's prayer that dates back to the 1700s, and most everyone has heard of this, but I'll go ahead and read it just in case, which is, "Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take." So we have this concept of the original prayer that is known. So this is our original work, our original piece of literature, as it were, that we're going to be referencing. So first up, we're going to look at how Shel Silverstein took that work of literature, that poem, that prayer, and created a parody of it with his prayer of the selfish child, which goes, "Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my toys to break, so none of the other kids can use them. Amen." So again, it's a parody. It's the deliberate exaggeration of this prayer that was just a common Christian child's prayer for comedic effect of, so me as a selfish child, I don't want anybody else to play with my toys, so my prayer is going to be that if I do die, break my toys so nobody else gets them. So we've got that parody happening in the center section. Now over on the right, we're going to look at allusion. An allusion, it will reference that other work. And you'll do it because you want somebody to bring in those associations in to your work. So we're going to look at how Metallica actually brings in this original Christian prayer into their song Inner Sandman to create an additional mood for that song. All right, so when we're looking at it in this song, they do bring in the entire prayer. So it's an allusion in that they are referring back to that prayer. They bring it in, so they're quoting it. But the purpose of bringing it in is to heighten the mood of the video itself, which is basically playing off of the children's nightmares of this concept of the Sandman coming in and doing whatever he's going to do with your dreams. So it adds the innocence of that child's prayer and the child's voice saying it to heighten that mood for the nightmarish scenarios that end up coming after in the video itself. In each case, the poem works in that it's an effective parody because it really does help show the disconnect between what this child is praying for and what we quote unquote should be praying for if we pray. And with allusion, it helps to heighten that disconnect between childhood innocence and those nightmarish qualities when your imagination just runs wild. So next up, we're going to look at a famous comedic sketch called Who's on First? And it's a sketch by Abbott and Costello. They used to perform this live years and years ago. But they would improvise certain lines along the way. And it's basically just one pun after another based on baseball players' names. So we're going to go ahead and listen to it first because this particular sketch, though it is just a whirlwind of puns that happen, It also becomes the basis for other parodies and such later on. It's a very well-known and well-referenced piece. So if you've never seen it, it's a good one for you to at least watch part of one so that when you see the references to it at other times, you can say, oh, okay, that dates back to Who's on First by Abbott and Costello. I know what that is.
Right. What are you doing? I love baseball. Well, we all love baseball. When we get to St. Louis, will you tell me the guys' names on the team so when I go to see them in that St. Louis ballpark, I'll be able to know those fellas? Well, now, it's all right, folks. All right. Excuse me, I want to find out the fellas' names. As long as it's okay with you. I'm crazy about baseball. Will you stand still? Pick up your hat. Go pick up your hat. Okay. Now, look. Then you'll go and peddle your popcorn and don't interrupt the act anymore? Yes, sir. All right. But you know, strange it may seem, they give ball players nowadays very peculiar names. Funny names? Nicknames, pet names. Not as funny as my name, Sebastian Dinwiddie. Oh, yes. Funnier than that? Oh, absolutely. Yes. Now, on the St. Louis team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third. That's what I want to find out. I want you to tell me the names of the fellas on the St. Louis team. I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third. You know the fellas' names? Yes. Well, then who's playing first? Yes. I mean the fellow's name on first base. Who? The fellow playing first base for St. Louis. Who? The guy on first base. Who is on first? Well, what are you asking me for? I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. Who is on first? I'm asking you who's on first. That's the man's name. That's whose name? Yes. Well, go ahead and tell me. Who? The guy on first. Who? The first baseman. Who is on first? Have you got a first baseman on first? Certainly. Then who's playing first? Absolutely. When you pay off the first baseman every month, who gets the money? Every dollar of it. Why not? The man's entitled to it. Who is? Yes. So who gets it? Why shouldn't he? Sometimes his wife comes down and collects it. Whose wife? Yes. After all, the man earns it. Who does? Absolutely. Well, I'm trying to find out is what's the guy's name on first base? No. What is on second base? I'm not asking you who's on second. Who's on first? That's what I'm trying to find out. Well, don't change the players. I'm not changing nobody. Take it easy. What's the guy's name on first base? What's the guy's name on second base? I'm not asking you who's on second. Who's on first? I don't know. He's on third. We're not talking about him. How did I get on third base? You mentioned his name. If I mention a third baseman's name, who did I say is playing third? No, who's playing first? Stay off of first, will you? Well, what do you want me to do? Now, what's the guy's name on third base? Well, what's on second? I'm not asking you who's on second. Who's on first? I don't know. He's on third. There I go, back on third again. Well, I can't change their names. Will you please stay on third base, Mr. Broadhurst? Now, what is it you want to know? What is the fella's name on third base? What is the fella's name on second base? I'm not asking you who's on second. Who's on first? I don't know. Third base.
All right, so when we're looking at a sketch like this, we're definitely making puns based on players' names. And it can be just a simple mishearing or a misunderstanding or a miscommunication. So you have, in this case, you can have a who that's spelled H-U and a what that's W-A-T-T and an I don't know. That ends up creating this back and forth between these two gentlemen based on who's playing what position, because that's what he wants to know. And it took about 70 years, but finally, when a gentleman with the last name of Who got pulled up to the majors and ended up on first base, this picture made the rounds with Go Ahead and Say It and any other number of puns or any other number of references to it, because it was a visual representation of this long-standing gag and pun skit. So looking at Who's on First in a different way, we are going to take a quick look at this example of a parody of that sketch that was written by Shel Silverstein, and it's The Me Who with an Exactly What poem. We'll go ahead and listen to that read.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Me.
Me who?
That's right.
What's right?
Me who?
That's what I want to know.
What's what you want to know?
Me who?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly what?
Yes. I have an exactly what on a chain.
Exactly what on a chain?
Yes.
Yes, what?
No. Exactly what?
That's what I want to know.
I told you. Exactly what?
Exactly what?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes. It's with me.
What's with you?
Exactly what? That's what's with me.
Me? Who?
Yes.
Go away.
Knock, knock.
So the way this poem plays out when it's read is that it ends up being a true parody of that Who's on First sketch. We are playing off of the sound of their names. We have that, even down to that increasing tension as the interaction goes on, because there's so much confusion between them as they're both saying the same thing, but they mean different things behind the words that they're using. So that elaborate wordplay and pun based around last names or individuals' names or what something or someone is called ends up creating this fun little dynamic in this poem by Shel Silverstein. So that's the bulk of it. We'll be looking forward to seeing the rest of your choice board projects this week. And as always, reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Until then, stay safe and stay well.